me share code see. Can you see the slides?
Yes,
Yes,
sir, we can.
sir.
Okay, so today we'll discuss another 2 or 3 diseases. Try to discuss 2 maybe because we have already lost few minutes, right? So maybe around half an hour gone. So if you see the disease, next disease rusts. So as I told you earlier, and I showed you the slides, I mean the list of the diseases of wheat. So there are 3 different type of rusts. One is key, stripe rust. We call it yellow rust. Stripe rust. Call it yellow rust. You see here, yellow rust or stripe rust. So caused by Puccinia stripiformis, not Puccinia. Puccinia kintu bolba na. Bolba hocche Puccinia stripiformis. And you see the symptom. Usually, this pathogen is an obligate parasite, cannot live without living host. So they need to survive. If you see in this alternate host, agropyron or bromas, this type of host always present in the field. These are grasses, but pathogen can survive in absence of the main host in this agropyron and bromas. And once infect, you will see this type of yellow stripes, means dark, raised pustules. Pustules means fruiting body. Pustules means fruiting body. So yellow stripes, pustules appear on the leaves. You can see. If you see this type of yellow pustules, raised pustule, you can see on the leaves. Usually in the older leaves, the leaves that lying in the lower canopy. I mean, these are very close to the ground. So you can easily see this type of yellow rust. And how can you confirm? If you whip them out, I mean, তুমি যদি কাপড় দিয়ে মুছে ফেলো তাহলে এগুলি ওই কাপড়ের সাথে দাগ আকারে উঠে আসবে, হলুদ দাগ আকারে উঠে আসবে। That indicates that this is rust and yellow rust. If you see the yellow stain means color বা দাগ এরকম। So yellow or stripe rust or yellow rust caused by Puccinia stripiformis is an obligate parasite. In absence of the host, this pathogen can survive. And you see here, this is the yellow stripe, S pustule. You can see S pustule. Usually low temperature, as you know, even in our country, wheat usually grown in the winter. So this type of temperature is very important, less than 18 degrees centigrade, especially at night. And leaf wetness due to dew. If dew deposit on the leaf surface, you can easily see the leaves become wet. Once the inspection established, you see the pathogen can survive even at high temperature. So this is the things. What you can do, draw a wheat leaf and then just with your pencil, you have to show the dot like structures and mentioning this labeling. Yellow color stripes appear as raised pustule on the lower leaves. And whether these are yellow or stripe rust or not, you can confirm by whipping them out with a cloth so that you can see the yellow stain on your clothes. So see, these are iridiospore. You see the spherical or oval type iridiospore. These are iridiospore. And you can easily see, if you can recap your memory what you have studied at level 2 semester 2, maybe someone of our teacher taught you the life cycle of rust fungus. So usually this type of pathogen produce 5 different spore stages: iridiospore, teliospore, basidiospore, SIospore, and pycniospore. So here you can see that 2 spore, iridiospore and teliospore, or you can say teliospore, that Puccinia stripiformis. These are the spherical iridiospore, usually yellow color. That's why we can see the yellow color stain on the clothes. As I mentioned, see the same thing. I don't want to spend the time here. You see the yellow stripes of pustules on the leaf, usually on the leaf surface, you see. And you can see this symptom in the field, you see, 1 to 10 meter as hot spots. Not every plants are infected. Once the plant infected, you can see around 1 to 10 meter foci or hot spots in the field in diameter. একটা 1 থেকে 10 মিটার ডায়ামিটারের একটা এরিয়া জুড়ে অনেক সময় হবে, আবার এর চেয়ে বেশিও হতে পারে, পুরো ফিল্ড জুড়ে হবে, not necessary. Here you see the tentative disease cycle. Just see how this pathogen can complete the life cycle. Vaccinia striformis, you see over summer or winter, overwintering bole. Overwintering means how the pathogens survive in the off season and move to the next season. This is called oversummering or overwintering. That means the survival mechanism of a pathogen in absence of the host to transfer in the next season. This is called overwintering. So this pathogen can survive as iridiospore. Once the wheat plant available in the field, this iridiospore you see infect, blown by wind and infect the wheat plants. And you will see the early infection as yellow stripes on the leaves. And in these stages, you see, from infected plant to the healthy plants, this iridiospore releases by strong wind or something like that and infect the new plant. In a way, they complete the secondary cycle in the field here. So from this initially infected plant, this iridiospore move to the new plants and infect. In a way, they can infect another plant like this, completing its life cycle. Once you harvest, what will happen? Because the pathogen cannot survive without living host, even other. So unable to survive on crop residues, that means required host. That means volunteer wheat plants or other grasses. They can survive on the volunteer wheat plants or other grasses. So that is in brief the life cycle. It is not so important, but for your understanding, I just want to explain here that the pathogen can survive in absence of the main host on the grasses or volunteer wheat plants, and these plants serve as a source for primary inoculum. I mean the iridiospore. This iridiospore infect the wheat plants and produce the symptoms. Once they produce the yellow pustules, the spore, I mean the iridiospore, released by wind and come in contact with the new healthy host and infect the plants, and completing many cycles within a short time. We call it secondary spray. Once you harvest, what will happen? From where the pathogen come? From the alternative host or alternate host or crop volunteer plants like this. So here is a term, you see, just the first sentence you can read. They cannot survive without living plants. So mostly wheat and some other grasses or plants belongs to the grass family serve as inoculum. So this is called green breeze. Means how this pathogen transform from the one season to the next season with the help of some other plant. So we call it green breeze. So as I say, stripe brush doesn't survive on seed, stubble or soil. So you see, they basically need to survive on the susceptible volunteer plants in absence of the host to transfer in the next crop seasons. So that is called green breeze. The plants that helps Vaccinia striformis to infect the next season crop is called green breeze. So very brief, you can see how we can manage this disease. I think almost all rust disease we can control in the same manner. As I told, you have to remember these are biotrophic pathogen, means cannot survive without living host. So volunteer plants, I mean the volunteer wheat plants or other plants. Okay, so serve as source of inoculum. So you have to cut the breeze I mean, you have to remove the volunteer plants. You see, in the 6 weeks prior to sowing should be removed. So volunteer plants should be removed and all other grass family plants. And avoid to cultivate susceptible and very susceptible. I mean, the highly susceptible varieties should be avoided. So need to select tolerant or resistant wheat varieties to avoid rust infection. Seed treatments sometimes help to suppress the early infection. Sometime. What are the fungicides we can apply? Usually, you see, during the season, growing season, we can use or we can spray some fungicides that contain azoxystrobin plus propiconazole or tebuconazole plus trifloxystrobin or azoxystrobin plus tebuconazole. The fungicides that contain these generic chemicals help to reduce the infection if you apply early stage. Usually 7 to 10 days interval. When you need to start, you see the flax leaf emergence to early dough stage. The flax leaf stage, you have to spray this type of fungicides. So only this removal of the volunteer plants, cultivation of resistant varieties or tolerant varieties, seed treatment, and foliar spray of this type of fungicides may help to reduce the infection. Another rust is leaf rust, brown or orange rust, caused by Puccinia triticina. Puccinia triticina. And this pathogen formerly known as Puccinia recondita. In your practical class, you will learn or you will study Puccinia recondita that infect our haze plant. Haze plant. We have many haze plant in the campus. So one of the haze plant infected by this Puccinia recondita. So you have to prepare the slide and you can easily see the teliospore. Once the university open, you can study this. So usually wet conditions, you see, wet conditions and temperature approximately 15 to 22 degrees centigrade. Wet condition and moderate temperature helps to infect the host plants by Puccinia triticina. Usually, you see this is not striped. This is circular to oval, orange, brown pustule. Sometimes leaf rust, also known as brown or orange rust. So striped rust, we know yellow rust also appear on the leaf. Leaf rust also you can notice on the leaf, but this is called brown or orange rust because the color almost brown. You see here the pustules brown color. So circular to oval, orange brown pustule, orange brown pustules appear scatteredly on the leaf. You see on the leaf surface, and very this leaf basically attached to the leaf surface very loosely leaf surface. So what you can do, draw a portion of wheat leaf and show and label these things. Circular to oval, orange brown pustules scatteredly appear on the leaf surface and which are loosely attached to the leaf surface. And like Puccinia striformis, Puccinia triticina also can produce this spore, iridiospore. You see the early stage yellow color, but later stage it turned into brown color. So Puccinia triticina can produce iridiospore. Symptom, I already mentioned that usually you can see orange brown pustule appear on the leaves later in the season, in the late season of the crop. This orange brown pustule turn into black pustules because of the production of teliospore. So you see the orange brown pustules appear on the leaf, but this pustule turn into black. Why? Because in the later stage of the infection, this Puccinia triticina produce teliospore. Due to production of teliospore on the lesion or pustules, these pustules turn into black in color. Usually, you see this type of pustule you can see on the leaf sheath and under surface of the leaf. I don't want to spend time here. Just you see how this fungus overwinter and then produce the iridiospore, and iridiospore then infect the wheat plant and produce orange brown pustule on the leaves. And from these pustules, iridospore release through the strong wind and infect the neighboring plants and produce similar type of symptoms. In a way, Puccinia recondita completing its life cycle through the secondary infections. Once you harvest, what will happen? Because this teliospore plays important role for the perpetuation or survival of the pathogen in absence of the host. They usually live on the barberry plant. There is a plant, surface, the source of primary inoculum, barberry plant. So as I told you earlier, so Basidiospore or Pycnospore, they produce on the barberry plant. But iridospore and teliospore, these two spores they produce on the wheat plants. But there is another spore, independent spore. Sometime in the Viva Voci, anybody can ask you, which one is the infecting spore? That means Puccinia titicina can infect the wheat plant with the help of iridospore, but teliospore cannot infect the wheat plant. So infective spore is the key, iridospore. Teliospore basically the resting stage survive করে off season এ teliospore আকারে এই করে. So repeating spore is the iridospore. কখনো কখনো জিজ্ঞাসা করবে যে রিপিটিং স্পোর কোনটা, পাক্সিনিয়া রিকন্ডিটা বা পাক্সিনিয়া টিটিসিনা যে স্পোর তৈরি করে সেটা রিপিটিং স্পোর কোনটা, সেটা হচ্ছে ইরিডিওস্পোর, মানে ইনফেক্টিভ স্পোর বা রিপিটিং স্পোর। এন্ড ইন্ডিপেন্ডেন্ট স্পোরও আছে। হ্যাঁ, টেলিওস্পোর আকারে সে সার্ভাইভ করে এবং টেলিওস্পোর গুলি দেখতে সাধারণত এই যে এরকম, দিস আর টেলিওস্পোর। তোমাদের যখন প্র্যাকটিক্যাল ক্লাসে দেখাবে তোমরা কিন্তু এইটাই দেখতে পাবা, ইরিডিওস্পোর দেখতে পাবা না, তোমরা এই টেলিওস্পোরটাই দেখতে পাবা। So resistant varieties the best way to manage the disease. In addition, you can avoid the grasses by using herbicides. Seed treatment sometimes helpful, and monitoring and fungicide spray schedule is very important. So you have to monitor your plants, and if you see one or few or some plants are infected, you need to start the spray of these fungicides containing this type of things. You need to move another disease, stem rust. You see the previous two rust, one is stripe rust, another is leaf rust, usually infecting on the leaves, but this rust symptom we can notice on the stem. You see reddish brown oblong pustules. You see the torn margin. Torn margin means margin ta mone hocche ছিঁড়ে গেছে বা ফেটে গেছে এরকম মনে হবে, torn margin that can occur on both sides of the leaves, on the stems, even on the glooms. Glooms so a rust দেখা যায়, stem rust. We call it black rust. Black rust. Puccinia graminis form species TTC. Barberry plants, Mahonia and Mahobarbaris. These plants surface the alternate host of this pathogen. Puccinia graminis form species TTC. That means these graminis only infect the wheat plants. Wet condition and low temperature usually helpful. And you see, this is the symptoms. Stem rust symptom appear as reddish brown pustules with torn margin. কোথায় কোথায়? Leaf sheath, on the leaves, on the stems, glooms, etc., etc., usually stems. And you see this pathogen, Puccinia graminis TTC. Also, like other rust, they can produce these two spores in the wheat plants. One is iridospore, this one, and this is the teliospore. Teliospore, double-celled spore with a pedicel. এটাকে আমরা pedicel বলি, মানে বোটা আছে আর ডাবল সেল স্পোর, এটা হচ্ছে স্পেরিক্যাল অর ওভাল। এই স্পোরটা দিয়ে সে ইনফেক্ট করে। তাহলে রাস্ট ফাঙ্গাস কোন স্পোর দিয়ে অ্যাটাক করে? হুইট প্ল্যান্টকে ইনফেক্ট করে। কে বলতে পারবা?
ইরিডিওস্পোর।
ইরিডিওস্পোর। Infective spore is iridospore. Always keep in mind, the iridospore is very important for secondary infection and initial infection. So what are the functions of teliospore? As teliospore, they survive on the volunteer plants. Teliospore আকারে তারা বেঁচে থাকে। হ্যাঁ, এছাড়াও আরো যে হোস্ট আছে, অল্টারনেট হোস্ট, সেগুলিতে তারা আরো দুইটা স্পোর তৈরি করে। সেটা হচ্ছে কি? Pycnospore and Asiospore. Pycnospore and Asiospore. হ্যাঁ, এই দুইটা হচ্ছে বারবারি প্ল্যান্ট বা আদার হোস্টে করে। মাঝখানটা আরেকটা স্পোর আছে ব্রিজিং স্পোর যেটাকে বলে, এটা হচ্ছে বেসিডিও স্পোর। হ্যাঁ, এই বেসিডিও স্পোরটা হচ্ছে ইন্ডিপেন্ডেন্ট স্পোর, এই দুই হোস্টের কোনোটাতে এসে না, সেক্ষেত্রে ট্রান্সফার হয় ওই হোস্ট থেকে এই হোস্টে বেসিডিও স্পোর আকারে ট্রান্সফার হয়। কাজেই এই টার্মগুলি তোমরা একটু পড়বা, আগামী ক্লাসে তোমাদেরকে আমি ধরবো ম্যাক্রোসাইক্লিক এন্ড মাইক্রোসাইক্লিক রাস্ট কাকে বলে, ম্যাক্রোসাইক্লিক এন্ড মাইক্রোসাইক্লিক রাস্ট কাকে বলে, হেটারোসিয়াস রাস্ট এন্ড অটোসিয়াস রাস্ট কাকে বলে, আমি ধরবো, একজন নোট করবা, আমি তোমাদের ধরবো, এটা গুগল থেকে খুঁজে বের করবা, ম্যাক্রোসাইক্লিক রাস্ট এন্ড মাইক্রোসাইক্লিক রাস্ট, হেটারোসিয়াস রাস্ট এন্ড অটোসিয়াস রাস্ট। রাস্ট জানতে গেলে ডিটেইল জানতে হবে। ইটস এ অব্লিগেট প্যারাসাইট। অব্লিগেট প্যারাসাইট মানে কি? কে বলতে পারবে?
হোস্ট ছাড়া বাঁচতে পারবে না, হোস্ট ছাড়া লাইফ সাইকেল কমপ্লিট করতে পারবে না।
হ্যাঁ, লিভিং হোস্ট ছাড়া তার লাইফ সাইকেল কমপ্লিট করতে পারবে না। যেমন অন্য প্যাথোজেন গুলিকে বলি আমরা নেক্রোট্রপ, দে ক্যান সার্ভাইভ অন দ্য লিভিং dead plant material or dead tissues, but these pathogens have a special character. They cannot survive without living hosts. That's why they are called biotroph or biotrophic pathogen. In addition, biotroph and necrotroph, there is another type of pathogen called hemibiotroph. Hemibiotroph means this pathogen need initially living cells to infect, but once they establish the infection, they can draw the nutrients from the dead cell. Clear? Hemibiotroph kara ইনফেকশনের সময় তাদের লিভিং সেল দরকার, যে মাত্র তারা ইনফেকশন করে ফেললো এরপরে তাদের ডেড সেল লাগবে নিউট্রিশনের জন্য। টিপিক্যাল এক্সাম্পল অফ hemibiotrophic pathogens are Phytophthora infestans causing lead blight in potato, Magnaporthe oryzae triticum pathotype or Pyricularia oryzae infecting rice plant and produce blast symptoms. So blast pathogens are hemibiotrophic pathogens. In addition, Verticillium delhi, Verticillium alboetrum, Verticillium longisporum, these are hemibiotrophic pathogen. Clear? Biotroph, necrotroph, hemibiotroph. কারো কোনো কনফিউশন? বলছি যে সমস্ত প্যাথোজেন লিভিং হোস্ট ছাড়া বাঁচতে পারবে না তারা হচ্ছে বায়োট্রপ, আর যারা লিভিং ছাড়া বাঁচতে পারবে তারা হচ্ছে নেক্রোট্রপ, ডেড ম্যাটেরিয়ালে বাঁচতে পারবে। আর যাদের ইনফেকশনের জন্য লিভিং সেল দরকার কিন্তু নিউট্রিশনের জন্য ডেড সেল দরকার তারা হচ্ছে হেমিবায়োট্রপ। লিভিং হোস্ট ছাড়া তারা ইনফেক্ট করতে পারবে না, কিন্তু যে মাত্র ইনফেকশন করে ফেললো তখন তার ডেড সেল দরকার, তারা হচ্ছে হেমিবায়োট্রপ। এগুলো পড়বা, এগুলো একটু স্টাডি করতে হবে। আমাদের ক্লাসগুলিতে হয় কি আমরা তো যথেষ্ট সময় পাই না, অনেকগুলি টার্ম আছে এক্সপ্লেইন করতে পারি না সময়ের অভাবে। So symptom, I don't want to say anything. So you see the black in the later stage. Early you can see reddish brown turn into black. কেউ যদি তোমাকে জিজ্ঞাসা করে যে আর্লি স্টেজে আমি রেডিশ ব্রাউন দেখতেছি, লেটার স্টেজে ব্ল্যাক হয়ে যাচ্ছে কেন? Who can say? I have only 3 minutes, so please.
So teliospore produced
Due to production of teliospore in the later height. So very good. So the same way you see wet condition and temperature approximately 15 to 30 degrees centigrade once prevail in the weather, this pathogen can produce iridospore from the alternate host or somewhere and infect the plants and reinfect the plants with the help of iridospore and produce the things. Once harvest, go to the alternate host, not in the debris. Sometimes can debris as teliospore. So removal of green breeze, I mean the volunteer plants and other grasses need to remove, resistant variety or tolerant variety, and monitoring and fungicide spray. As I mentioned earlier, this type of fungicides effective, especially conazole group, propiconazole, tebuconazole, trifloxystrobin, this type of fungicides helpful to control rust disease. So it's very hard to complete. You have another class, right?
Yes, sir.
কোন ক্লাস তোমাদের এরপরে?
স্যার এন্টোমোলজি।
এন্টোমোলজি, তাহলে তো ওনার সময় তো আর আমি নিতে পারবো না, তাহলে আজকে এ পর্যন্তই থাকলো। আগামী ক্লাসে আমরা লুস স্মার্ট এবং পাউডারি মিলডিউ এবং অন্যগুলি সংক্ষেপে শেষ করে দিয়ে আমরা পরের ক্লাসে চলে যাব মেইজ ডিজিজে। মেইজে আমি 2টা ক্লাস নিব আর হুইটের 3টা নেওয়ার কথা, এখন তো মনে হচ্ছে একটা বেশি নিতে হবে। আজকের হাফ এন আওয়ার তো চলেই গেল।
স্যার